Hiya Shoegaze fans, welcome to my channel, Shoegazing 93, the channel that celebrates itself. And today we're looking at Record Collector magazine, who are featuring an article on Shoegaze, as you can see at the top there, above Joe Strummer's head. You've got Shoegaze, this year's genre. So I'm not really expecting too much. I've seen little bits actually on Instagram where they're kind of previewing it from other fans and stuff. But I'm not expecting to really learn anything more than what I know already, which, as you can tell by my bedroom, is quite a lot. Yeah, I got quite a lot of knowledge already. But yeah, what I really want to know, I would really like if I'd like to know more about the production of Shoegaze, and that's something that really isn't covered in magazines or books. I'm really hoping that Sound on Sound do something cool one day. They actually be great if they can get Alan Moulder or Robin Guthrie, one of those great shoegaze dream pop producers / mixers to talk about their style. I know they had only Shallow by MBV as an article once where Alan was talking about the track, but I would like to know exactly what these producers are doing, what their EQ moves are, what kind of compression they use, and how to what level do they use the compression? Like, do they use it a lot of it? Preamps and all of that stuff. The modulation effects, which Robin Guthrie uses a lot of, and time-based effects, reverb and delay. So, yeah, one of these days we might actually get a Shoegaze production article, because I think that's the hardest thing about the genre. I think it's actually after creating and recording it for so long, the hardest thing about it is probably the mixing stage of it, and the mastering as well. So I think it's page 40 something. I think I've gone a bit far. Here we go. This is it then. Sweet soul music. Ha ha ha. I like the pun of soul. Great pun. That's nice. That'd be nice to cut out and use for my my new Shoegaze Society club, which I'm starting in Plymouth. I'm going to call it the Southwest Shoegazing Society. Just a club where we can chat about the music. People can find potential band members. People can exhibit their own pedal boards. We can trade pedals, buy pedals from each other. We can have the music playing as a backdrop, and we can have the music videos playing on a TV screen. So that's kind of what's coming up for me over the summer. I'm trying to get this club started in Plymouth. It'll be the only one of its kind as far as I'm aware. But yeah, this would be good to cut out and use for maybe posters around the tables. By the way, this is the 1,000. This will be my 1,000th video for this channel. A real milestone that I've hit. So thank you, subscribers, for staying with me for so long. You know who you are. There's some real loyal fans that always leave a comment and like. So this is a big episode. This is the 1,000th video that I've done for Shoegazing 93. So it looks like they've gone up to date as well. We've got M83, some 2000 stuff there. Score of 7 bells. So they're looking at the modern period as well as all the classic, which is good, because too much time is spent looking at the you know, as well as the lack of production talk, there's also a lack of focusing on the new artists of the scene. They always go back to the late 80s, early 90s all the time. Usually. Yeah. Whatever happened to shoegazing? That's basically that article there. That. And I'm not going to read it out. I'm just going to kind of go over the pages. So that's very unshoegaze like, the confrontation going on there, but that's the Mary chain, isn't it? That's why they're not really strictly shoegaze. They were just much more post-punk because they wanted confrontation, which obviously did not become the norm for the shoegaze aesthetic. Spaceman 3. You got My Dream Lady, Belinda Butcher there. Nice blurred interpretation, impressionistic interpretation there of them playing live on stage. A.R. Kane, people need to talk about Rudy Tombola and Alex Oyuli a lot more. Incredibly influential. Milk Snatcher and songs like The Haunting. Is it The Haunting? The one that goes, oh, so far away, you're so far away. It's got like two names. It's called like the So Far Away, but it's also called like The Haunting, something like that. But yeah, Milk Snatcher's a really good single as well from them. The slow, 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 do, 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 slow, slow, slow. Shoegaze was coined by Andy Ross from Food Records, which was the record label for Blur, wasn't it? As a term of ridicule. But I don't think there's a bit of debate because somebody said Andy Hurt. That name gets thrown about as well. There's Andy Hurt and Andy Ross. I know that Steve Sutherland came up with the scene that celebrates itself, describing the Thames Valley bands. But yeah, Andy Ross. But then I've also seen this Andy Hurt name, unless they're getting it wrong. They're getting the two Andys mixed up. I don't know. Yeah, so what they got? Sonic Youth and Dinosaur Jr. They got the Drop 19's 1991 re-released demos right there. Yeah, interesting what they've got Sonic Youth and Dinosaur Jr. because they're more like influences rather than shoegaze proper. So we've got interviews here with Chapter House and Lush. Mickey Brenny has an interview in here. Emma Anderson. Digitech Whammy is something that's, well, yeah, Shields used it, but more prominently, Swerve Driver used it. I think Jimmy Hartridge himself he has like two of them. That's just one guitarist of Swerve Driver. The technology had caught up with the sound, that was apparent. Yeah, I mean, that's what separates it from the 60s psychedelia, really. The fact that now you have the technology to do all this live. You know, they were literally taping rack effect units like Elise's Quadriverbs and Roland GP16s to the top of their amps, you know, so they could bring the studio sound to the stage, bring the studio to the stage. So this is all cool. This is all good stuff I can cut out of this magazine and sort of use for my Southwest Shoegaze Society. Just as an introduction. So then you've got the more modern guys. Color Trip, obviously. That was massive. The biggest album for my generation, I would say. Growing up in the 2010s, like being a late teen, going into my 20s in the 2010, I think Ringo Death Star Color Trip was a monumental release. And I think that got so many people my age into the genre. Whiteland's album. They just disbanded Whitelands, so they're quite lucky to be in here. You know, they obviously, when they got this all together, obviously they were still together. So yeah, luckily they stayed together long enough to be featured in this magazine. But yeah, they disbanded. Don't know why. Was it due to financial reasons? I'm really not sure. Yeah, Crush. They headlined the Shoegaze All-Dayer in 2023. They were good. History of Shoegaze in 50 songs. Starts with the Velvet Underground. There you go. Blur Inertia. I'm not sure of that song. I mean, I would have went for Sing. Blur Sing as being their definitive shoegaze song. Or Slow Down is another good one. Chapter House Pearl, that's essential. Drop 19's Kick the Tragedy, I would go for. Not really Winona. Winona's good song, but it's too kind of normal, if you know what I mean. There's not a great deal of effects in that song. It's Kick the Tragedy is the one for me. Sway to the Birds. Yeah, I don't know that one. Lazarus, Boo Radley's that. But really, the Boo Radleys, I think their best period was 91 to 92. Fire, Sky, Memory, Babe, everything's alright forever. It's that album really that defines the Boo Radley shoegaze period. Yeah, great selection there. Verve, Medicine, Ocean Size, never heard of them. Bending. There's a few I'm not aware of there, like Damascus and Forsaken Autumn for Tracy Hyde. No idea. We've got a QR code for the playlist. My Beloved Valentine and Slow Dive both play Primavera in Barcelona in June. And yeah, Simon Reynolds' book is on the way. I ordered it ages ago from Norman Books. Still in a Dream, Shoegaze Slackers and the Reinvention of Rock, 84 to 94. Yeah, June the 18th, I'm due to get that book. So when I come back from holiday, that should be coming through the door. I'm really looking forward to reading that. Simon Reynolds from Melody Maker, a well-respected journalist, and I think Mickey Bereni just had like an interview with him, or sorry, I mean, I think she's going to attend the like the book premiere basically, and then Mickey's part of the people who are talking on the panel. So that's it. Yeah, that's kind of how I expected it, really. Somebody needs to make an article or a complete book or magazine about the production of shoegaze, how the mixing stage is done, because, you know, there's obviously it is a highly produced genre, and I would like to know, how much of the effects are directly from the guitar pedal board. How much of it is from like hardware, and how much of it is from like live playing. That's what I really want to find out. What I think there's a balance in shoegaze. There's always been a balance, the early stuff and the more modern stuff. I think there's a 50-50 split between playing the guitar with effects straight into a preamp DI, and there's been the other 50% of it is like post processing using hardware and plugins. So I would really like to know, I would like somebody to detail like an album, analyze an album, shoegaze album, where they explain the processes, the amount of EQ, the amount of compression, what kind of compression they're using, where they're boosting the EQ and attenuating nodes, and what preamps do people use, because there's got to be stuff that differentiates it from different genres. What's the special sauce with shoegaze music? And that's something that people just don't cover. They just focus on the artists, or they just focus on like what pedals these guys are using. But that's only useful in a live situation, really. Like the pedal boards don't really explain how these records are made. They really don't. People obsess about, you're using a Strymon Big Sky, or you're using a Boss PN2 tremolo. But like at the end of the day, like what makes these records is what happens in the studio. The way like live guitar playing is kind of blended with studio processing, and I need to find out what balance it is, and find out just what it is that just makes it also cohesive and massive sounding. Because when you try and do it straight from the guitar directly, the thing can just fall to bits. The fidelity just doesn't match up to like your reference tracks, and you end up being disappointed. So just get Alan Moulder and Robin Guthrie in like a Sound on Sound magazine, a full-on article, not one of those like how do I get this sound articles, which they do, which is still useful, but I want something a lot longer than that. I want something that's more in depth and has a few pages about it. And that's what severely, like this here, how I got that sound. I mean, it's all well and good, but they used the Only Shallow by MPV song for one article in this section, but I want it to be like the main article where you get several pages about it, and they're talking about the album as a whole. And that's what's missing, because how do you get miniatures, jessamines to be so cohesive? How do you get Sway, the Milieu Green and Pink EP, to be sounding so cohesive and massive, and all the rest of it? So that's my gripe really with the magazines. It's like all this is well established. We know who the artists are. We know what kind of effects these guys use, like in a live situation. But come on, where is the focus on the studio hardware? The not just that, but the techniques, the mic positioning, the type of mics they're using, the way they're using the amps. Are they reamping? Are they using DI? Are they how are they comping the vocals? All of that stuff. The only one that is documented is Loveless usually. But let's hear like the making of like Just for a Day or Everything's All Right Forever, or like Miniatures Jessamines, or Flying Colours, Mindfulness, or like Nothing, Tired of Tomorrow. Well, to be fair, there is a documentary online about that, but on the Nothing channel. But yeah, Kitchens of Distinction, The Death of Cool. Let's hear about the making of it at Sawmills. Things like that. Chapters Whirlpool. Come on, give me this info. Dive, Deceiver, The Day Sleepers, Creation. Let's hear about the making of that. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for this special 1000th episode. To all the gazers out there and dream poppers, I salute you. Bye.